Hi, welcome to the Shepherd's Rest Doc Talk. This is episode 110A.
I'm Cam and this is Julie. This week's Torah portion, we're going from Deuteronomy 21, 10, going to the end of 25. I think that's 25:19. So, man, talk about a list of things. It really is kind of like a laundry list of commands and remembering how to love the Lord with all your heart and to love your neighbor.
Okay.
So Moshe is going through this as a reminder. Hey, for this generation you're going in, this is how it should look. So when you say, "How should I love my neighbor?" This is how. How should I love you? This is how. So I found
we don't just make it up.
Right, yeah. Nope, don't get to make it up. So I found just a few things we would talk about. If you want to see last year's, I believe it's 61A and B. And we go over kind of a general overview. So I wanted to pull up just one or two things. Deuteronomy 22, to me, is a great, hey, get your attention. Look how far we've come. And I don't mean in a good way. We have in 22, it says that when you see your brother's ox or sheep straying away, you shall not hide yourself from them. Return them to your brother without fail. And I thought, I grew up going finders, weepers, losers, keepers, right?
Finders, keepers,
losers, weepers. Gosh, dyslexia thing. Anyway, that one. And so, I don't know how I used to say it, probably backwards. Who knows?
No, you said it right.
Okay.
Sure.
So, that is a matter of, well, I got it, now it's mine. Mm-hmm. Okay, how to love your neighbor? Not like that. I mean, have you ever seen somebody in your clothes and went, is that my shirt? Because I lost it. I've been looking for that shirt. Oh, no, I probably have one like it. Or, yeah, it's your shirt.
Or they say finders, keepers.
Exactly. That's usually when they go, yeah, I love it.
You shouldn't have left it at fill in the blank.
Right, so-and-so's house.
Yeah.
So our job when our friend leaves their clothes at our house is to return them promptly. Not, oh, well, I'll just leave it till next time he comes. No, we're to actually make an effort to return it.
Oh, I'm bad about that.
I know, me too. But it is, here we are instructed on how to do it. And it can't be, well, I don't like that person anyway. Well, that can't happen because if you look further down, it says...
That's not loving your neighbor.
That's not loving your neighbor. When it says, when you see your brother's donkey or his ox fall down in the way, you shall not hide yourself from him. Help him. Rise up without fail. I mean, this is just, okay, your neighbor, animal falls, don't hide yourself. Go do that extra work. Mm-hmm. When we see someone we love who's hurt or they need, we automatically go out, don't we?
Right.
I mean, we don't even have to go, let me hide myself. We want to go. So to me, don't hide yourself as saying, because you don't really like this person.
Yeah.
Or you don't know them, so you don't care.
Right.
You can't do that. Right now, this week, what a fabulous week to be looking at this. We're down in Southwest Louisiana, and Harvey just wreaked havoc on us, around us. We were very blessed right here at Shepherd's Rest and some areas around Sulphur. And like Charles, we were very blessed that we did not get slammed like we thought. But what we're having is from this area, you're seeing people going out and helping their brother. People they don't even know. They're giving their time, their money. They're, in some cases, risking their lives.
Right.
That's a great example of loving your neighbor. They're doing it.
Right.
Out just instinctively because of this disaster. Now, let's take that love for brother and love for man and move it just to everyday life. Mm-hmm. That seems to be the harder thing.
It is.
To do, when I drive by and that guy's on the side of the road, I'm in a hurry. Well, really, are you really in a hurry? Because I'll bet you can stop, make a call, do whatever you need to get them assistance or help with assistance. Yes.
And it's funny because I've been thinking about this week. It's like, why is this happening, right? You keep seeing that all over Facebook. Why is this happening? Why is this happening? But look what it's done. Look at the compassion it's extracted from his people.
Great point.
Look at the mercy it's extracted. Look at the godly characteristics that we are now exhibiting out of crisis. Yeah. No wonder it's, a trial is a good thing to the apostles.
We grow from it. Right. I mean, hey, the church itself grew so much only when it was having trials and tribulations.
That's right.
That was the weeding
Otherwise
out
we
process.
Get complacent. It's human nature. Yeah.
And how many people in this tragedy have come back to going, okay, well, I want to trust the Lord. Mm-hmm. Or, you know what, God?
They have no other
you
choice.
did this, forget it. Fine.
They were strengthened one way or the other.
Yeah,
they
I like
can't be complacent anymore.
Right. Mm-hmm. A little bit further down in 22, if we look at 9, 10, and 11, and 12, they go together, but not really, but they do. Let me tell you why. Okay, so 9 talks about your land, your vineyard. It says that you don't sow it with different kinds of seeds.
Right.
Least the yield of your seed which you have sown, and the fruit of your vineyard be defiled. So I was like, well, what's defiling it? The mixing of the seed. So I looked up defiled. Do you know what defiled is?
What?
Holy.
Like set apart. So you can't have grapes set apart.
It says, least your food or your fruit in the vineyard be set apart.
Oh.
In other words,
so I had it backwards. Go ahead.
You can't give something mixed to the Lord.
Oh,
so if you mix it and then you bring it to him, don't try to make that holy.
Oh.
Because your first fruits, you would be presenting a mixed first fruits, and the Lord's like, don't mix them so they don't. So you're not tempted to take what you've mixed and try to make it holy. Gotcha. Does that make you go, ah? Because here we have in our practice, yes, here we have in our practices, we make our own rules. We decide how we're going to worship God. And then we say, here, Lord, I'm giving it to you. I mean, how often do you see the scripture in Philippians 4:13? I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, right?
Right.
And I'm running this race through Christ who strengthens me. Right. I'm feeding the poor through Christ who strengthens me. I'm getting high through Christ who strengthens. I mean, that's an extreme. But I don't know if
anyone's really saying that, but if you are.
The point is that we use it for anything. Right. And everything. Right. I'm going to start this business because Christ strengthens me.
Right.
But the truth is, we're often mixing things that the Lord would be like, I don't even want you involved with that.
Right.
And now you're going, but it's all for God. And here's the deal. We even see this week, I'm going to come back to that, but we even see this week where he talks about in 23:18, he says, do not bring the harlot fee of the whore or the pay of the dog to the house of the Lord your God. For any vow offering, for both these are abomination to the Lord. So basically, where you get your money to give to him counts.
We don't have temple prostitutes right now.
Okay, owning a bar where people are getting drunk all the time.
Yeah.
That would be a good one.
Oh, okay.
Owning adult video thing.
Oh, okay.
Any business that's creating or causing your clientele to sin is a prostitution. So you may not be spreading your legs, but you're spreading out the rules of not following Torah.
Right.
That is what's going to get you in trouble.
Right.
Because least in the kingdom and greater in the kingdom. Those in least, according to Matthew 5, who say you don't have to follow the Torah versus those who say you do. Now, we also have that mixing. And the mixing part, I want to jump over, I'm kind of weaving through. Jump over to 23. So 23, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Again, is the mixing. The Lord's like, don't bring this mixed thing in here. In 23, 2, it says, Mamzer should not enter into the community of the Lord, even to the 10th generation. He shall not enter into the community of the Lord. Okay, so I was going to just say that. That is a bastard. So, according to the Hebrew word, it can be one from incest, one whose father's not known, one whose father is not legally, should not be the father, like through an adulterous affair or something like that. Gotcha. It can also just mean mixing, though. So, get this. One, according to the Hebrew, one who has a Jewish father and not Jewish mother, or vice versa, is considered
a bastard child.
Yes,
a mimzer.
A mimzer. Mimzer. So I'm like, wow. So the Samaritans, are mimzers, and they're so that they are not to come into.
See what Torah says,
right? And they're not supposed to come into the congregation. Okay. Well, here's what's interesting. That word for congregation that's used all through this is the same word first used in Genesis 48 when speaking to Ephraim.
Of course.
So again, Ephraim's the northern kingdom. From him, everyone who's divorced is sent out. And then when they're brought back in through Yeshua, right, they're brought back in and allowed to come in. There's the many peoples. aren't we all mixed?
Yes.
But we're considered and made clean through
And holy.
Messiah and holy and allowed to come in. So another thing we see that Messiah does is when he brings us in, he removes this 10th generation, because some of us may not be 10th generation.
Yeah. You know what I love about this is it's at the end of Deuteronomy, all right? And it's said that since Yeshua's first coming, we've been in the wilderness, right? Here we are about to go in, and the whole thing is don't mix.
Yeah.
Because what's the Laodicea church guilty of? Mixing. It's the last one. It's the, I know there's a lot of controversy on the, do they go in order? But I think that they do. I think there's a double meaning to the seven
Absolutely.
churches.
I think it's probably like a triple meaning.
As a whole, we fit. It's kind of like in Yeshua's time. The nation rejected him, but not everybody rejected him.
Right.
So it's like the whole is the rich
the leadership,
church, the rich church, the Laodicea church, but not everyone fits into the Laodicea church.
Right.
Yeah. Just like in the time of the Roman Catholic Church and the time of the Crusaders, it was Thyatira.
Yeah.
But not everybody fit into that.
Right.
But the majority did.
It's like the predominant at that time.
That's right.
Yeah. So, again, mixing, I would say, is a very predominant event right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mixing. And a part of this learning Torah is we're learning to unmix. He is giving us the ability to what we've got all scrambled up to start to do this and start seeing the chunks that we can pull out. Because, when you stir something really good and it dissolves, you're stuck. That's what you got.
You have to have something that will cause it to separate.
Right. And he has given us the Torah to drop in that now is separating that. And now we can see the chunks that we want to remove. So the real responsibility is, are we willing, or the real question, are we willing to take it and throw it out? Are we trusting that this new concoction is better without those pieces?
Yes.
And that's what Torah is showing us.
Such a great segue into the Torah. Can we just start that now?
No, very soon now. All right, I didn't forget. Let's jump back to 22, 9, and 10. 9 talks about, 10 and 11. 10 talks about plowing with a donkey and ox, to not put the two together.
Don't mix them.
And I love it. Right. All this is don't mix. I mean, it really is. But then I started thinking, your ox is so much stronger. And if you put two things that are both going, one stronger is just going to keep driving. You're going to do a circle. It's like me swimming. I swim in one direction because I have my right side is
predominant.
Stronger. So here you would have, and I started thinking, God, you're just going in circles when you mix. And then I thought, oh my gosh, isn't that what we do?
And physically.
Yes. We seriously just go in circles. And then I thought of the 42 journey stops, right? As we have. I mean, it is full circle. It should be a big circle. And, we do this while we're going, right? But when we have that mix, we can't keep going through the journey because we just get stuck on one precept upon precept.
Right, so precept upon precept upon precept, that keeps you going in the right direction. Otherwise, you start turning.
Absolutely.
And make a circle.
And he's going to allow us to stay in that one precept until we get the next one. That will let us successfully go to the next one.
Didn't that happen to Israel?
Yes.
The Lord said, enough of going around this mountain.
Yes.
We're going into the land now.
Yep, get it together. Good point.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, last note, really quick. I want to look at 24:16 because to some, this is a contradiction and they don't know what to do with it.
Okay.
So 24:16 says, fathers are not put to death for their children, and children are not put to death for their fathers. Each is to die for his own sin. It basically is saying the father is not responsible nor dies for the son's action or the child's action, and the child doesn't die or is responsible for the father's action. So sometimes that creates some confusion because he's saying you're not responsible. Yet, if you look, we just had a great example in 23, in 23:3 and 4, he's saying the Ammonites and the Moabites can't go in. And then in 4 it says, because they did not meet you with bread and water on the way when you came out of Egypt. And because they hired against them Balaam, the son of Peor. Okay.
So
these people are alive.
For the sins of their...
Right. I mean, does that make sense?
But they're not dying.
This is a forever law.
Right.
So in 2,000 years from that event, none of those people who didn't allow Israel to come in or, who hampered them are alive. Yet here you have the nation still suffering. That's the difference. There is a nation that's made up of all of our actions. It holds a certain spirit. A spirit of a nation comes on people. But then we're responsible individually for what we do with that spirit of the nation.
Right.
So when we stand before the Lord, there are two judgments. There's the Matthew 25, which says the nations will come before him. And then there's the great white throne of Revelation 20, where we individuals will stand before him.
Right.
So it's not one or the other. It's both. They work together as a whole.
Oh my gosh. This is the best segue.
Okay, and this is where we're actually going to end. So, and the sad thing is you're going to see this, and then you're going to have to wait another day probably before you see hers.
Maybe.
Well, that's it for this week. We thank you so much for joining us. We apologize for the tardiness of our videos because we have been in the midst of Hurricane Harvey and kind of preoccupied. So,
been holding down the fort.
Yes, absolutely. And it's done well. The Lord's hand was over us. So,
yes.
Oh God, I want to talk about that too, but for another time. So you guys have a fantastic week, and we'll see you on the flip side with Julie and the Prophets.
Shalom.
All right, so I have more, but I think that's it. Was there any one thing?
Maybe.
So we're going to end. We want to apologize for the tardiness of this week. But again, because of Hurricane Harvey, we have been a little preoccupied and trying to hold down the fort. That's definitely got to go out.
Okay.